Hi everybody, welcome to Nerd in Denial episode 1.
Woo!
So for those of you who don't know who we are, and some of you who do know who we are, we're going to do it anyway. I'm Matt.
I'm Sam.
And the point of the show is for us to kind of delve into the world of nerd that I have been a part of for many years now, but she has not.
Nope.
And she's stuck with me, so she's got to get used to it.
Yeah, we're engaged, just in case.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
So she's stuck with me, so I'm kind of introducing her to the world of anime, and mainly anime and superheroes, because I am a nerd in both. So we're going to do kind of a every other week type of thing, where we're going to do anime, and then a superhero thing, and then we're going to do anime, and then we're going to do a superhero thing.
Hopefully.
Kind of on a once-a-week basis, if we can. We don't really have a set schedule just yet, because we're just starting out, and we're really just learning how to edit and all of that. So please do bear with us, and we apologize for any bad quality anything. So please forgive us.
That's a good segue into, hey, we have a Patreon.
You're just as bad as TokuCast.
Yeah!
So for those of you who don't know, I am from another YouTube channel called the TokuCast, where we talk about Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Tokusatsu as a genre. We have Patreon, which we're a sister channel to the TokuCast because I'm a founding member. So we have a Patreon through the TokuCast, so patreon.com/thetokukast. So please support us there, or you can just support us by subscribing, watching our videos, sharing to your friends, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
But first we're going to start with the anime that really first caught her attention in the world of anime, which is Seven Deadly Sins. It is a Netflix original anime, which there aren't a lot of those, but we highly recommend this one. So, first, why don't we talk about what you thought of anime going in, and please ignore the dogs. We have dogs.
We do have dogs. They're gonna be in every single video.
We can't.
They're attached to us at the hips. So get used to it.
Sorry. So what was it that you thought anime was, or what did you think of anime before you were even met me? Before you ever met me, what did you think it was?
I thought it was. I mean, I thought it was just kind of like adult cartoons, which I mean, it is kind of.
It is fair.
Not necessarily adult. Now that I know more about it. Okay. Yeah, no, none of that. None of that.
No, we won't be reviewing any of that.
I mean, unless you want to, please let us know.
We won't be able to monetize those videos, so let's not.
Patreon exclusives.
Oh, God.
I think that'd be creepy. And weird.
A little bit.
Yeah, let's not.
Moving on. So you thought it was adult cartoons, like...
Pretty much adult cartoons, and I thought they were kind of... I thought it was kind of silly, but then I could see how people would look at cartoons and think they're silly. So,
Alright.
And I just thought it was a lot of, like, the same generic stuff, and I can't even begin to explain what the same generic stuff I thought it was. I didn't realize that there were so many different genres and things like that.
Yeah, that's a thing. So that's the thing. That's kind of a common misconception about anime is that it's a genre in itself.
Which it's not.
It's not. I think the word is medium or medium.
Medium.
Yeah, it's a medium.
Yeah.
So it can have different genres. This was not the first anime that she ever watched with me. I'm gonna be real honest. This is the first anime that she ever got into, like as much as I was. The first anime you ever watched was Another.
And I don't really remember a lot about it.
Which says a lot about the show. But that's mainly because she's into horror and things like Final Destination, and I thought that's perfect. But it was a good... Would you say that was still a good kind of introduction to what anime can be?
I mean, it was only one season.
12 episodes.
It was short, it's sweet, to the point, which is definitely something that I needed. Dogs are fighting.
Please ignore them.
Dogs are fighting over toys.
They do that. There you go. Anyway, so why don't we let's get on to the show that we're actually here to talk about. So, Seven Deadly Sins. One thing that we're always going to start with is the opening and closing, because that is the first and last thing you see in a show like this. So the first opening was very, I would say, kind of a generic opening, but not in a bad way. It was very good, very fantasy, like it matched the tone of the show, in my opinion. What did you think of it?
It definitely did, and I loved her voice, and it was, yeah, I mean, it's set up...
Catchy?
It's set up going right into the show, because the show starts out very...
Lighthearted
and upbeat, so it worked. I mean, it worked perfectly.
Okay.
Which, I mean, and are you gonna, reference the fact that in the first episode we don't even hear it?
That's a very good point, actually. I forgot.
Yeah.
In the very first episode, the opening isn't the first thing you hear. It's actually the closing of the episode. But then it's the opening everywhere every other time.
Which, I mean, that still works.
It works, and honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, that's actually a common thing that anime does. Okay. It does it in anime, it does it even in Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, which I watch a lot, they do that. Because it's the first episode, it's introducing you to this world, so they kind of wanted to focus on that first.
Which, I mean, it definitely worked as a new person coming in. It was like, oh, I end on this nice little tune, let's jump into the next episode. It really helps to kind of binge it. It does.
And then the first closing, which is much more rock, with a lot of guitar, but I still loved it.
Is this the one that we said was
no, that was the second.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the second opening.
Not that yet.
But this was just a nice guitar riff one.
Which can't ever really complain about.
No, because that also, when you're binging it, because it's Netflix, so the entire season comes out at once, when you listen to that guitar riff, it gets you hyped to go to the next episode, which I thought was a good choice for this anime that's a Netflix original, so you don't have to wait a week.
Yeah, the music choices in this show are...
I just had a thought occur, but I'll save it till the end.
Okay, the music choices in this show are definitely, they're on point. They're really good.
So that'll bring us to the second opening of the show, which, what was the band that we compared it to immediately?
30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah, it sounds like a 30 Seconds to Mars
song. It definitely does. The beginning instrumental is just like, oh, and where's Jared Leto? No, oh, this is not, okay.
No, he was busy doing Suicide Squad, but anyway.
Well, that'll come up later.
Oh, Lord.
Significantly later.
So, second closing is a lot like the first opening. They kind of swapped it. Went from, now it's rock, and now they have the female vocalist and much more calming, which I did like, because because during this time in the show, it was a lot more action heavy, so you needed that calming moment at the end, which I thought really helped. What did you think?
No, I definitely agree. I mean, it was calming, but it was, I mean, I am the type of person who wants something more catchy to kind of keep me interested all the time. I mean, when there were big endings, it definitely helped to kind of be like, okay, hold on, let me kind of think about what just happened.
Fair enough.
But then there were moments where I was like, alright, I need to be a little more upbeat about it. Let's go.
Yeah, fair enough. Now let's move on to the next part, which is we're gonna get to the important stuff soon. But let's start about the main thing that you're gonna be looking at, which is the art. What did you think of the design?
I liked it. It was really good.
The characters,
bright, vibrant, crisp.
You know, the anime. Now this is gonna be a hard question for someone like you who's not used to seeing, the animation of old.
Well, I mean, you've showed me some stuff, Inuyasha.
Inuyasha. You were close. So close.
I'm gonna butcher.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm gonna butcher everything. I have a southern accent, and I'm not familiar with anything, so please don't bash me for that. Or do. I don't really care.
Anyway. But yeah, no, that's actually a very good point. I actually totally forgot I tried showing you that.
Yeah, and so definitely, and I'm one of those people who I don't really care to watch older movies either. I just like seeing where we've come and seeing the new advanced technology and things like that. So I definitely like watching newer, crisper animation styles and things like that.
And if you're familiar with me on the TokuCast, you know I'm the same way. But the animation is very well done in my opinion, especially for a Netflix original show. Now, before anybody asks or thinks about it, we are only going to be talking about the first season, not the OVA that's on Netflix, because not canon, we don't care. Sorry.
And we're not talking about the manga.
We will reference the manga only when necessary.
He's read it. I haven't.
I haven't read all of it, but I've read enough to kind of know more. We do know that the second season is coming out soon. We do plan on watching it, but we're going to go one season at a time, just because that's all. We want to get this out because this is one of our favorite anime. Now let's get on to the most important thing, which is the characters.
Yes.
We got a lot of them.
So be quick.
We'll start with the first character that we really meet, which is technically Meliodas, but we won't go there just yet. Elizabeth. Very generic character, very damsel in distress. She's the princess who needs to save her kingdom, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, she's very boring in the beginning.
But she gets better because you can tell that she really wants to help. She doesn't like being the useless character, which is refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of characters who are just perfectly fine just by being rescued, and she does become much more important of a character later on in the manga, which hopefully they will, by extension, the second season, as far as I know of what they're going to cover in the second season. So you'll get a lot more of that coming up, which I'm looking forward to seeing your reaction. But she meets Meliodas. He owns a bar. He looks like a 12-year-old. She thought, how could he possibly help me? He's the leader of the 7 Deadly Sins and my favorite character in the show. Mainly because I love watching fight scenes where the main character is so powerful he's barely trying. I just think that's just... A lot of people think that's boring to watch, and in cases I also do as well. But for some reason, when they have a great personality to go with it, I don't think it's that boring. So, I think he's a pervert, which I don't like that they did that, because that's a very generic thing to me, honestly. But it doesn't come up very often, but often enough where it hurts my soul a little. But I still...
What soul?
Yes, I'm ginger. Let's just get that out of the way. We good? All the jokes in the comments? Good. We're moving on. Anyway, next we meet Diane, a giant. Actually, I'm sorry. I've been brushing over these. What did you think of Meliodas?
Pretty much everything you said. He's fine. He's not my favorite.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, but I mean, he's the main character. He's the one that the story's driven around. I mean, it's
fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, next we meet Diane. She is giant. She is in love with Meliodas. And she's very protective of her friends and people that she cares about. I actually really enjoyed her character for the most part. Because that whole in love with Meliodas thing takes a back seat real quick.
Yeah, which is nice. We're not just watching her fawn. Pawn? What's she pawning off, babe?
Continue. I'm just gonna have a moment.
Fawn over Meliodas.
Anyway.
Because that's always just so cringy and it's a little too real. It happens to everybody, pretty much.
Though I do love the growth because she's very hesitant about Elizabeth at first because, who are you? Why are you with him? What's the thing between you two? Then it turns into, I will protect her with my life, just like any of my other friends.
Yeah.
So it's a very good growth to see in this character.
Yeah.
And we'll get on to their abilities and what sins they are later in more of an analysis and themes, because that's more of how that is in relation to. Next we have Bond. Who is kind of the bro of the show. Stop smirking, damn it.
He's my favorite.
Why?
Because he's hot. And he's snarky, and I love it.
And I love his introduction with Meliodas' first season. They beat the living shit out of each other, and yes, they're really cursing. They beat the living shit out of each other, and then they end with I can't remember if it was first or if they end with it, but they end with they arm wrestle and destroy a building in the process. But it's such like the scene from Predator 1 where they just grab each other and you can just see the muscles flexing of who's stronger. And I'm like, okay, ladies, you're both pretty. Let's move on, please. But it's still so much fun. Especially how often they go back to it in the show where there's a tournament and they have to go up against each other. And I'm just like, alright, who's on cleanup duty?
Yeah.
Alright, so next we have King, who... I love King, but only because of what I've read, only as much as I love him because I've read in the manga. He has a lot more character development, but from what we've seen in the show, he's just as snarky. He's in love with Diane, which is so adorable.
It's so adorable and so sad.
He hates Bond.
Yeah.
For reasons we can't go that too much into without dwelling into spoiler territory.
That's a super spoiler.
But he gets over it. I just love, he's the... I don't even know how to describe it. He's like the self-proclaimed cocky one. No, sir. Go play with your toy. Here, I got another one for you. There you go. But he's the self-proclaimed snarky one or cocky one. But yet he's still the child one as well. Which is weird because he's the second oldest. There you go. He's stretching. But after that we have Gowther. There's a lot to say about Gowther. Oh. He wants to say hi.
Hi, baby.
So, Gowther. He's weird. He's very, very weird. He doesn't really do emotions. He doesn't really understand people.
Yeah.
But he's really curious.
Yeah.
But not in a good way. This is not for you.
I mean, it's kind of sad seeing his curiousness about relationships and and like
but he
emotion.
Takes it way too far.
He definitely does, but it's also like it's sad to just know that everyone else around him has that concept down, except for him, and that's when he's vulnerable, and he's just like, I don't get this.
But that's really all we have to say about him at this time until we get more into the analysis portion. Come on.
Yeah.
Lastly is Merlin. She scares the living shit out of me.
She's freaking gorgeous.
But she scares the living shit out of me.
He's not in a dominating, and she would totally be a dominatrix.
Okay, no, she ain't here. But she's still a fun character. She's definitely the one who knows more than you think she does. I think she's actually the smartest one of the group.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Me neither. And there are some things that, as far as I've gone in the manga, and also please don't spoil the manga for us in the comments, because I would like to not have that happen. But there are some things about her that have remained unanswered that have me really curious. Because she's not human, or demon, or elf, or giant, or anything else that I'm aware of in this world.
Yeah, okay.
There's a moment where she says her name, and the Ten Commandments, who we will meet in the second season, essentially piss their pants as soon as she says her name.
Okay.
But it's in an ununderstandable language. But anyway, they essentially piss themselves, and it's kind of funny. But that's really all the main characters you meet in this show. There's a lot of minor characters we don't really have time to get into, because there's a...
Hawk.
Oh yeah, Hawk.
Piggy.
Comic Relief Piggy.
Yep, that's about it. And then Mama. They're traveling.
Giant Piggy.
Giant Piggy.
I'm so sorry, Hawk. I'll give you some scraps later. See, all is forgiven with scraps.
But I don't know if this can be seen. We have a Hawk plushie.
Hawk.
Just in case.
Not for you.
Yeah. Not for doggies.
Not for doggies. But let's move on to the aesthetics and themes of the show. And by aesthetics, I don't mean how it looks, like we've already gone over art. I'm talking about how it feels to us. And this is a fantasy world, which is an interesting start for you, especially for someone who likes horror more than anything else.
Yeah.
With knights and magic and powers. How hard was it to keep up?
It wasn't super hard, just because some of the characters are kind of familiar.
I was more referring to how hard to keep up with their abilities and everything.
Not too bad. Just
does it help they explain it every 30 seconds?
They did explain it, and also the fact of, you got me into playing more RPGs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I did kind of...
already have a grasp of that.
Have a grasp of different classes and things like that. So it wasn't too difficult. And luckily, and there weren't too many characters to try and focus on either. I think it's a relatively decent-sized main cast.
Fair enough, but this is actually quite large for a main cast. And that isn't a shonen. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. It is kind of a shonen. So forgive me. No. But let's go on to their abilities and what sins they are. We'll start with Meliodas. He is the Sin of Wrath with the ability known as Full Counter. He can take a hit, usually a magical hit, and reflect it back twice as hard. Which is an interesting idea. One, he's the happiest character in the show. Lincoln. He is the happiest character in the show, but yet he's the Sin of Wrath and anger. So it's very interesting. Now, from what you've seen in the anime, why would you say he's Wrath? Now, I know why he's Wrath because I've read the manga, but why would you say he's Wrath?
Ooh.
From what you've seen in the anime.
Well, there's the other half of him.
That's not mentioned in the anime. I have discussed the manga with her. Remember, he had a girlfriend who was killed.
Yeah.
And then the city, gone the next day. A crater is where it's left. That's why he's Wrath.
Okay.
Because when he gets angry, he can't control himself. Which is why he's never angry anymore. Now, if we go on to Elizabeth, because we're going to go in order a bit, she has abilities. It takes until the very end of the show. We won't say what those abilities are. But she has abilities which are fully explored in the second season, hopefully, / manga. That I can't wait to see. But that's unfortunately all she has right now is that one moment where it happened that are kind of foreshadowed throughout the show.
Yeah.
But which I thought was very well done because a lot of times it just kind of happens and you frickin' deal with it. But Diane is our next one. Her ability, I can't remember, I think it's called Creation. but she can control rocks. I think the Terrapath, I think, is a good word for it.
Mhm.
I think it's an interesting idea with her character. The fact that she can make mountains for someone who's as large as a mountain.
Yeah, it's definitely very
Also,
interesting.
I think, in my opinion, for being able to control something so firm, but she has these weakest is not a, but she has the biggest issue with self-image.
Yeah.
I just realized that, which I think is an interesting kind of oxymoronic look to her.
Mhm.
Ban is a little more straightforward.
Oh, Ban, yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
before we go into Ban, we didn't even go over her sin.
Oh, no.
Diana is the sin of envy.
Obvious, envious of the relationship between
Exactly.
Elizabeth and Meliodas.
Alright.
So, and then next.
Next we have Ban. He is the sin of greed. A little more straightforward. He wants everything.
Yeah.
And he wants it so much, he found the Fountain of Youth, drank from it, and now he's immortal.
Spoiler.
Not really a spoiler.
A little bit.
It's a character trait.
Yeah.
Because it's part of his character, in my opinion. But spoiler is why that's a curse for him and not a gift.
Okay.
That's why.
Fine.
So he hates this. All he wants to do is find somebody and then probably die, because he doesn't want to do this.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a stereotypical thing when it comes to immortality.
You get what you want, and then you realize it's not what you wanted after all.
Yeah. His ability is called Snatch. He can literally just take things from you. Parts if he's fighting a demon or something.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes he can just take your stamina, which is real cheap.
Yeah.
He does that a couple times, and it's real cheap. Next, we'll go to King. He is the sin of sloth, which I think is very well symbolized by the fact that he never walks anywhere.
Floats everywhere.
He floats everywhere, laying on a giant pillow.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's sloth right there.
Yeah. Now we won't go into. We won't really go into his backstory that much because it's kind of a spoiler for other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say that he was also lazy in that with what his original job was supposed to be. Next we have Gowther, who was the sin of lust, which was weird choice for him.
Very
but
weird.
He's knowing what he is, and you know what he is because I've told you that he has a perfectionist kind of look to him, like his skin is perfection, his symmetry and everything. So a lot of people find him attractive, even though they can't tell what gender he is.
Yeah.
But moving on. His ability is we didn't go over King's ability. Whoops. King's ability, he can kind of age things. He can turn cuts into gaping wounds. He can turn minor poisons into deadly toxins. So I don't know how to interpret that really, other than other abilities that he has with his fairydom, because he's a fairy.
Yeah.
That's not a joke or a put down. He's actually a fairy.
He's literally a fairy.
But Gowther's ability essentially can alter the memories of his targets, which he uses really dastardly, I guess is one word for it, but not on the right end of the morale spectrum.
Not at all. Nope.
Nope. We don't like Gowther that much.
No.
He has moments, but
few and far between.
Yeah. Lastly is Merlin. She is the sin of gluttony, which is weird because she's a really skinny, big-boobed woman.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep. Looked like you were about to say big tits.
That was true. Anyway. But, so you think, why is she gluttony? It's because she's not gluttonous for food or what you typically think. She's gluttonous for knowledge, specifically magic knowledge. She likes to run experiments, and she doesn't give a flying shit who gets hurt or how many morales she has to destroy.
Yeah. She's not here.
Okay.
It's fine.
You can't be too careful. Her main ability, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially a spell can last as long as she wants it to, and she never runs out of mana. You play mages in RPGs, how broken is that?
Oh, so broken. It's awful.
When shit's explained in the manga, her enemies literally call it cheating.
Yeah, no, that would be cheating.
But
Especially being magic, which is typically the slowest playing class.
No, it doesn't do anything for her cast time, I don't believe. It might.
But they also usually require
cooldowns
and things like that, and they're longer than most other classes. But you hit harder. That's the whole point. Yeah, no, broken.
But that's it for the abilities of the characters. My favorite character, despite his shortcomings, is Meliodas. I just think he's the most fun.
Short. He's short.
I have to give you that one.
He looks like a child.
He's my favorite, despite his character flaws. I think he's just the most fun in my opinion.
No, and he definitely is fun. Fun. Not just because he's hot, but he also just has really good character development. I think you see lots of different sides of him. He comes in and there's like this pompous friggin' asshole, which is like, oh god. But then he grows at the end, and it's just,
then you see why he's.
Then you're like, oh my baby, I must protect you.
And for those of us who've read the manga and know it's coming in the second season, yeah, I know she's fucked. You're fucked.
Don't ruin it, please.
I'll keep it.
God.
Anyway. Why don't we get on to the plot? It's a kind of generic plot, get the heroes together, save the day, rescue the princess, but yet for some reason there are moments where it goes off of that generic path and surprises me, which is what shocked me the most about this show, was that it has the most generic, setup, but is executed in a not generic way.
Yep.
And that is one of the reasons why I like this show so much. What was your favorite thing about the show? Because if I had to guess, I would say it was the comedy. You really seem to like the comedy.
The comedy and the character dynamics were very well. They played off each other really, really well. Nobody felt like besides Gowther, felt like a odd piece of the puzzle, you know? Like, everybody felt very...
Which is weird, because each of them individually is an odd puzzle piece.
It is, but when they all come together, they each have that one thing that makes it all work.
Right.
I'm not good with words.
She'll get better.
No, I won't.
But there's really not much else to say about the plot other than things like that.
Yeah.
But I still somehow recommend this show. We even got one of your nerdy family members into the show real hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great
we should have
show.
on the episode, by the way.
We should. And yeah, sure.
But it's still a great show that I recommend to all my anime friends, especially those who have Netflix. Now, in what we're going to end on every video with, because this is a Nerd in Denial, we're exposing her to this world. I'm going to have a couple questions, usually just for her, kind of like an interview, just to see where we are in her status. Is she a nerd? Is she still a nerd in denial? Is she just not a nerd at all, or is she a 100% full-blown nerd? Let's see where she is.
If I become a nerd, the channel can't happen anymore.
Yes, it can. You can be a nerd. Well, I mean, there's anime, then there's comic books, and so we got
varying levels of nerd.
Exactly. Like, you're not gonna be full-blown otaku in one episode, and you don't even know what that is, do you? Anyway, we got a lot of work to do, folks. Were there moments in this show that made you think that this is just gonna be like what you thought anime was gonna be like? You thought it was just gonna be stupid adult cartoon that it's stupid, and why are you watching it?
No, not really. Because it started out so strong. With Meliodas was a very, very good character to be the center character. Because he just started out so strong with the comedy and the quippiness and all of that. No, as soon as you get latched onto him, no, not at all.
So you would say this changed how you view anime?
Yeah. Is that...
Yeah, sample. Yeah.
Wanted to hear? Okay.
Would you, and my last question is, are you going to watch Season 2? The real Season 2?
Yes.
Now, we watched this dubbed because you don't want to get her into anime with only sub stuff. Would you watch it subbed only?
Yeah.
There you have it, folks.
I also have a lot of unanswered questions. Can't leave me hanging there. I gotta...
Well, we'll see where she is after second season, everybody. As always, we're going to post as much as we can, try to do one a week. like the video, subscribe, follow our Patreon, go watch the TokuCast if you're interested.
Follow us on Twitter, Nerd in Denial.
But I think that's everything we got to talk about for episode 1. We'll see you next time when we review a superhero property that has come out recently.
Woo!
We'll let you figure out what that is, and it's not a poster on the wall at all. No.
Not at all. Not right here.
Bye, everybody.
At all.